Hey guys, this is Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. It's 2 o'clock on Saturday, December 2nd. I'm going to try to put together a quick video over some player props. So whether you are doing same game parlays or individual player props on DraftKings and FanDuel Sportsbook, or you're playing on Prize Picks, our sheets are excellent to help you with your research. So I'm going to flip through some of these stats. I'm going to show you some of the things that I look at and some of the things that jump out at me. Now, if you're playing on Prize Picks versus DraftKings, you're going to have different lines. And DraftKings, of course, you can do the alt lines and move them up or down depending on your risk-reward payout. But I'm just going to show you some plays that I found that I like. So let me zoom this in a little bit here. Let's go 120, make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. Okay, so you notice these sheets here, we have all these tabs. So if you're playing DFS, sports betting, you're doing player props, whatever it is, we've got something in here that's specifically designed for what you are doing. But for this video, we're going to focus on player props and prize pick lines for building your cards in your same game parlays. So over here, what I did to help the sheet out is I started pulling DK prop lines because Prize Picks is the same line, but if I pull them from DK, I get about 100 more players and I get them a lot earlier in the day. So that, of course, helps us with our research. So the first thing I do when I'm looking at player props is I pull up the DK prop tab right here, and you can see these are the last 5 games each individual player has played. If it's green, they've gone over their current prop number. If it's red, they've gone under. So you can quickly kind of scroll down here and see, you know, who's mixed, who's good, who's bad. Some of the important columns to watch for, this is the average over the last 5 games. This is what the prop line is. This is the hit rate over the last 5. And we brought in the usage rate last week because people with a very low usage are a little bit higher risk because they don't, well, their usage isn't as high. We have the standard deviation. You can Google that if you want to know what it is. It's basically if numbers are really close to a mean, it has a low standard deviation. If they're all over the place, up and down, it's got a high standard deviation. So if it has a high standard deviation, that might be one that if they have 2 of the 5 games where they're going way over their prop line, we want to look at something plus money. An example last week is Kyle Kuzma was 3.5 or 4.5 assists, but DK had 8+ assists at plus 390, and he had hit like 5, 8, 8, 7 or something. He had hit it 2 or 3 times in the last 5, so I put that on there. I got it at plus 380, and then FanDuel, I was told, had it at plus 500, but that hit, so that was a good one to find, and I found that off the standard deviation. And then over here, we've got a custom little projection. We have the last 3, and then we weight it based off our cheat line. We have the raw projection, the gap, and then we have an algo. If you really don't know what to do, you can come over here and just sort by the algo up top. And these are going to give you guys with a high hit rate, high usage that's averaging a lot more. Okay, so that's the rundown of the sheet. What you do when you open this, it's sorted by hit rate from high to low. So yesterday I sorted it from low to high, and I found the Kyrie Irving. He averages about 3.5 assists a game, and his prop line came out at 8.5. So of course he had hit it 0% of the time, so that was one that I jumped in the chat and was like, hey, Prize Picks has this down to 7.5 now. And then the rebounds and assists, he had hit 0% of the time, so that was a big under that we were on. All right, so when we're looking at the hit rate, the first thing we're going to look at is the 100% guys. So we want to take a look and see, is there anyone in here that jumps out? Now, typically, I keep a notepad and pen here, and I jot down notes from each of the games, and then I kind of go look at the lines on DK to see where I want to be. So looking at these, Franz Wagner's the first guy. His PRA, that's points, rebounds, and assists, you can see he's been over 5 times, but what I really like is this column right here, in. So this is the one when I say differ, we're going to focus on. So let me highlight these. So he's got a differ of 8.5. That means over the last 5 games, he's averaging 8.5 more points, rebounds, and assists than his prop line. You can see here he's averaging 38. He's put up 46, 40, 39, 31, and 35, or 34, and he's got a line of 29.5. Now look at these last 3 games, 46, 40, and 39. He is cruising over that number. So Franz Wagner is someone that I want to take a look at today. Looking at this, he's someone that jumps off of the sheet. He's got a high differential, so that's someone that we want to take a look at. Going down, Donovan Mitchell rebounds. We can see here his line is 4.5. He's hit 100% of the time over the last 5 games. He has a differ of 2.3. Now, this is a smaller number, but again, it's a stat where you're going to run between like 2 and 10 on most people. You're not going to get a big difference. But you can see here, 7, 11, those are really good. But this 5-5, he barely squeaked over, so you want to be kind of careful with that. So I do like the prop, but I do not like it as much. Now, you can come over here to this DVP column, and you can see his opponent that he is facing is 18th in rebounds allowed per game over the last 2 weeks. So that gives you an idea that, yes, they give up some rebounds. You would only fade that if they were like number 1 or number 2 and they don't give up many rebounds. That would be one I would maybe shy away from. The next guy, Jabari Smith. Points, rebounds, assists. He's been over it 100% of the time. He has a difference of 5.5 over the last 5 games, which is really good. And I like he's got a tight standard deviation of 292. So the smaller the number, think of it as consistency. The closer to 0, the more consistent it is. And then the higher it is, the more kind of wacky it is. So we're looking at him. His line is 22.5, and he's got 24, 27, 32, 29, 28. So in these last 5 games, he's got a floor of about 24, and he gets up to about 30. So I would say 24 to 30 is a good projection for him, somewhere in there. So if you're on Price Picks and it's 22.5, that's probably one you want to take a look at. Now for me, I'm going to go to DraftKings and I'm going to do an alt line of 18 plus, 20 plus, just kind of depending on what the line is. And if I can get those two at a decent line, I really like putting it together because he's consistent on going over that number. Coming down here, Cade Cunningham, 3-point shots made, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2. His number's 1.5. He's been over it 100% of the time. I actually ran this back, and he's been over it 7 games in a row. I think he had 3 and 2 the other game, so he's barely getting over it, but he's taking a ton of attempts, so that is another one that I like. But again, it's like the Donovan Mitchell rebounds. Like, it's 4.5. He may end up with 4 or 5. It's really tight, so it's not one you can lock in on all of your cards. But then his 3-point shots, 1.5. A lot of these he ends with 2, but here he had 4. But it's something that's pretty consistent that we can take a look at. So you kind of get the idea. Now, I'm not going to go through all the players. I think I have, how many players in here? So I have over 2,000 lines of players. So I think there's 430 players, and we pulled points, rebounds, assist, points, rebounds, plus assist, and 3-point shots for all of them. And we scrape DraftKings. If they've got a line for it, we load it in the sheet, and we give you the hit rates. The other thing I like to sort out is this differ column. I'll go high to low because I want to see who's averaging a lot more. So typically anything above 4 or 5 on a big slate, we could probably narrow it down to 5 and say, okay, anything that's got this much of a difference, it's usually going to be points or points, rebounds, and assists, as you can see. But that's one we would want to take a look at. So for example, Jabari Smith, PRA, we looked at that one. He jumps out. Who's one we haven't looked at? Cameron Thomas. So this guy's, he's kind of fun to play because he either puts up like 30 or 40 or like 12. But he takes a ton of shots. So his PRA number, you can see he's averaging over 8.1. Now, these 4 games were back when. He's only had 1 game back, I believe, but we'll take a look at him. But anyways, this is kind of what I do to flip through and get an idea of the players that I like and the props that I want to put together. Now, once you have your cheat sheet, so for this, let's focus on Franz Wagner. That was one. And Jabari Parker. That was the second guy. And then we had a handful of other ones that we looked at. And you can spend all day in this. And you can even sort it by 0%. And say, okay, who has not hit? Well, here we see Russell Westbrook, 3-point shots. His line is 0.5. He hasn't made one in 5 games. Or same thing with Shai Alexander. But that's how you can find some unders and flip back through there. But anyways, the next thing I do is I go over to the game logs tab, and I'm going to leave this blown up so I can sort back and forth. So let's look at these 2 games. Well, here we're already on the Lakers, so let's look at Jabari Parker. So one thing I do when I flip through here, let me get him up. I'll screenshot it so I can write on this and show it to you. So here we have Jabari Parker. And let me see if this will let me blow it up a little bit. Make it a little bit easier to see. Is there a zoom, 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 zoom? Okay, we're going to go with this. This is what you need to focus on right here. This is going to give you your information that you need. So if it's blue, they're cold. They're going under. If they're red, they're hitting at I think I put it at like 65% or better, or 60% or 70%. But the red is good for overs. So here, we're going to focus and look at this sheet. We have a points prop for Jabari of 12.5. He's hit it 86% of the time. So you should look in this column, see the red, and be like, hey, that's someone I want to look at. So with a points prop of 12.5, we can see he's projected at 16 points tonight. His last 4 average is 16.3. So this is another column where you can see the difference in the last 4 average versus his prop line. But he's put up 15, 16, 16, 18, 17, and 14. So he's been over that 6 games in a row. So what I do is I go to DraftKings, I look for the Alt-X points props, and I'll take 8+ or 10+ points. I've been doing 10+ with Jabari a lot. That's been a pretty safe number for him to hit. Lots of times he's in that 16 range, which you can see a lot of when I played it is kind of when he was in here. But that gives you something to look at. Now, if you are looking between, so let's say you want to do this player Jabari, but you don't know what prop you want to do and you're stuck between two, what I use as a deciding factor is the difference. So if you're looking at a points prop of 12.5 and he's averaging 16.3, then if you're looking at his PRA of 22.5 and he's averaging 28, we have a bigger difference here of the 28. So 12.5 to 16.5, that's less than 4, but 22.5 to 28, that's a lot more. What is that? 5, 5.5, 4.5. So I'm going to take the one that has the wider gap unless there is something that jumps out at me. Now, another thing you want to look at are their minutes that they're playing down here. You want to make sure that they're consistent. Sometimes they might have a spike for a couple of games because a player was ruled out or hurt or didn't play. That's just something that you have to pay attention to. Also, this little number over here is DVP. So this is points, rebounds, and assists, and this is what the opponent's allowing in points, rebounds. I guess I don't have assist in there, but I have 3-point shots allowed. Now, some other things that jump out. His 3-point shots made prop, 1.5. He's got 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. So he's between 1 and 3 pretty consistently, so I like that one. Blocks, 0.5. I don't do a lot of blocks and steals, but blocks, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. So he's been over it for 5 games in a row, 86% over the last 7. That's pretty good. That might be a prop that you want to take a look at. So if I'm building a same game parlay, I'm going to flip down. These bottom guys usually don't have props. You'll see these blanked out, and that just I leave it there. So when I do a sheet update, usually around 4 o'clock, if they fill in, they fill in. If they don't, no big deal. Singan, however you say his name, here's another one we see a lot of red. So DK props 20.5. He's hit it 86% of the time. And then here we can see 22, 31, 21, 11, 30, 23, 23. So he's hit it 6 out of 7 times. You can also see who they played in these last 7 games and if they were home or away, and you might be able to spot some trends. But looking at Jabari Green, or Jabari Smith, when we come across here, he's someone that I definitely like that popped on the sheet. And then when I'm flipping through here, some of the other things that jump out at me is here we got Fred VanVleet. Well, here, look at his assist. 83% hit rate over the last 7 on 9.5. So look at this, 12, 11, 14, 16, 10. So this is a good example where you could probably get 12 plus on DK at like plus 300 or plus 400. And he's got it a few times. He got 12 here, 14, 16. So he's got the ability to go nuclear and put up a huge number. I like taking an alt of maybe 8 plus, something like that, and feel pretty safe with it and put 3, 4, 5 of those together. And then, let's see, Jalen Green, he's another one, his assist prop. What jumps out at me is he sat in this 2 to 4 range, had a 5 ball here, and 2.5 isn't bad, but then these last 2 games, he's got 14, so that's something to keep an eye on. Flipping over here, you can do the same thing on the other side. Anthony Davis has been red hot. All 3 of these, points, rebounds, assist, he's been crushing. Since he goes over all of them, I'd rather just go PRA and jump it up. That'd be the easiest route to go. D'Angelo Russell is another guy that I wrote down in my notes that I didn't discuss in the video. Now, his PRA number is 23.5, and you see he's only hit it 43% of the time, but he's been over, floor, over. So in these last 6 games, his floor is 20. So what I'm going to do is look on DK for like a PRA of 18 plus or 20 plus, kind of see what the line is, because his floor's been 20 and he's gotten as high as 30, and then one game, which is probably a one-off scenario of 48 where he dropped 35 points, 4 boards, 9 assists. Probably not going to happen again, but again, for him to get 20-25, I think that's very likely. Let's flip over and look at one more game. With 12 games on the slate, I could spend all day on this, flipping through these. They're so much fun to play with, but I want to get a lot of our new people an idea of what we're going to look at. So Cam Thomas, that's someone we had talked about. We can see here he has not played these games. This was his first game back. Down here, you'll notice I put in the field goal. I didn't get to clear out this NA and make it pretty yet, but 21 field goals. So he's taking a ton of shots, as he always does. But if I'm doing points props and someone's missed it, I want to look and see, did they just not take that many shots? Was there a dip for some reason? But just something to give me a little nugget of information. But him over 18.5, you see 100%, but he's only got one game. So he jumped, but he's someone we can take a look at. And then over here, look at Claxton blocks, 2.5. And we got 2, 4, 3, 3, 1, 3. That's a consistent hitter. And then who's the main guy? Franz Wagner that we looked at. So let's slide over here and look at old Franny. So Franz Wagner, we can take a look here. 31, 31, 31, 30. So he's got 30, 60, 90, 100 or 92 points in the last 3 games. And he has a points prop of 20.5. That's one that we like it to go over. You can see here he had some 17s and 19s, but these last 3 games he's been red hot, so that's one I do like. He's also been over his rebound prop 4 games in a row. And his assist prop, he's got 2 to 3 for a floor and a line of 3.5. But look, he's got 8 and 6. So his points, rebounds, and assists, I don't mind, because these are just bonuses when these go over and his points are going over. So his points, rebounds, assist is 29.5. Again, I can probably get an alt of 25 plus on DK, but 46, 40, 39, 31, 34. I mean, he's been over this 5 games in a row, so Franz Wagner is definitely someone that I like to go over. But anyways, this is kind of what I do when I'm building my player props and same-game parlays, and when you see me post stuff, this is what I did to dig around and find it. And if you're doing any sports betting, you can come over here to our bet tab, and anything we think there is a slight edge on, we put a notification here of what it is. The overs have been absolutely fire. The sides will go on runs. We'll have 4 or 5 days in a row where we hit 60, 70%, and then a couple days where they just flop and miss. So it's kind of a peaks and valley type scenario. But like last night, I bet 4 totals. They all went over. So that was a good night. But anyways, you can get all this information on here. And if you're new to us, these cheat sheets are posted in the free group every Thursday. First thing, as soon as I get it done, and then I post it again an hour and a half before lock, which is usually around 4:30 Central Time. And then for premium members, we have a premium group with a chat for about 50 cents a day. And I post these sheets every single day, and I update them 90 minutes before lock with any new player prop lines and projections and stuff if you're playing fantasy. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm here to help. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a good day.